So A said 6 minus negative 10. When I see that minus a negative, I immediately think of the house model, and I think, oh, we're getting rid of weights, and getting rid of weights means that this is going up. So for this one, you should have started at positive 6 and just gone up 10, which will give you to 16. And that's the same as saying we started at 6 and went up 10, or 6 plus 10. For D, it says negative 7 plus 6. I remember that the first number is just like the starting point, so it's sort of like this is an elevator starting 7 floors in the basement and going up 6. So if I try to model that on an open number line, I can put 0 here, starting at negative 7. And since we're going up 6, and 6 has a smaller value than 7, I know we're not actually going to make it to 0, but we're going to get really close. So if we were 7 away from 0, and then we went up closer to the lobby, we would end up still underneath, like 1 floor in the basement, and so the answer would be negative 1. Alright, for B, we have 2 negatives, and that can look a little confusing, but I remember that this first number is our starting point, so we're going to start at negative 8, and then we're adding a negative, so I think of Carl's house, and we're adding weights to the house, which is going to pull it down. So this one is really going down. So from negative 8, if I were to go down 3, it helps for me to just remember that 0 is up over here, so when we go down, it's like we're going deeper below 0, so the answer should be negative 11, and if you want to get fancy, we could have rewritten this as negative 8 minus 3 is equal to negative 11. Alright, and then for E, it says negative 9 minus 10. Again, I remember that that starting number is the starting point. So it's like we're starting 9 floors in the basement. And then, since we're subtracting, we're going to go down. So we're actually just going to go, it's like we're going 10 floors deeper. And if you do that, you should end up at negative 19 because you got farther away from 0. Alright, in the state test level rational number problems, we have negative 55 hundredths plus 7 tenths. I'm going to rewrite both of these as decimals. So negative 55 hundredths stays the same, and I know that 7 tenths means that all I have to do is put a 7 in the tenths place, because those are equivalent. But then 7 tenths would be equivalent to 70 hundredths. There are a lot of reasons why that's true. One of the easiest ways to picture it is just by realizing that you can multiply by 10 over 10 to get 70 hundredths. But okay, now I have an easier problem to solve. I'm going to start below 0 at negative 55 hundredths. And then we're adding, so we're going to go up. We're definitely going to go past 0 because 70 hundredths is bigger than 55 hundredths. And we'd only have 15 hundredths left over. So that's why the answer is 15 hundredths. Alright, and then for F we have negative 5 and 4 tenths plus 10 and 6 tenths. That negative starting number means we're starting below 0 at negative 5 and 4 tenths. And we're adding 10 and 6 tenths. So if we were to do that in one jump to start, we're going to make it to 0. And then to figure out how much left we have of that 10 and 6 tenths, you could do 10 6 tenths minus 5 and 4 tenths, which equals 5 and 2 tenths. So that's what's left over. And that's why the answer is 5 and 2 tenths. Alright, for G, I have negative 30 divided by negative 5. Well, I know that 5 goes into 30 6 times, so I know that it's going to be 6. And then, when I ask myself, is it positive or negative? Same signs, they multiply to positive, but they also divide to a positive, because those are inverse operations. So this is correct, positive 6. Then when I get to h, it says 4 times negative 11. And I know that 4 groups of 11 is 44. But then when I want to figure out is it positive or negative, you could think of the patterns you discovered, which tell us that when we're multiplying with one negative, the answer is negative. Or, so different signs multiply to a negative. Next, we have negative 4 times 0. For this one, it helps just to think, I'm going to use the commutative property and just switch them. And 0 times anything is 0, and the reason is it's like you want 0 groups of something, and 0 groups of anything is just the same as 0. And it looks like they're different signs, but you don't put negative 0 because on a number line you have 0. The numbers on the right of 0 are positive, the numbers on the left of 0 are negative, but 0 is not to the right of itself and it's not to the left of itself. It's just the center. So there's no such thing as positive 0 or negative 0. It literally marks the center of the universe. All right, and last one, I know that 100 times 1 has to be 100. Sort of the same thing as I, but instead we have one group of 100 is 100. And then, since the signs are the same, it's going to stay as a positive.